Hey, soul seekers, have you ever made a mistake in your life? Have you ever made the same mistake twice? Well, guess what? Today, we're going to dive into the Fool's journey through tarot, and I'm going to teach you each one of the mistakes that the Fool made along his journey through the 22 Major Arcana cards. These are the archetypes in tarot. So you'll be diving in today and hopefully not making the same mistakes the Fool made. You can learn a lot from a fool. Let's do it. In tarot, when you hear the word upright, it usually refers to the card drawn in its normal position, representing the most direct or the most readily apparent meaning of the cards. Well, guess what? Today, we're going to be spending all of our time in the reversed, the reversal, the negative, the upside down, or another word is the opposing energy. I mean, after all, the Fool's making mistakes and he's learning his life lessons. So the key point to understand with cards in their upright or reverse position is that an upright card can just be the outward situation, the conscious experience, while the reverse cards might have a little bit more insight to offer. They deal with the struggles, the unconscious, the potential obstacles related to the card. So let's begin the Fool's journey as he began, standing at the top of the mountain, looking over the cliff with his beautiful furry friend nipping at his heel, warning him of impending doom. Let's find out what the first mistake is right out of the gate as the Fool starts his journey. Enjoy. The Fool's first mistake is the lack of preparation. After all, the lesson here is recklessness without awareness will absolutely lead to unnecessary risk. And here's a great metaphor. Think of a 2-year-old standing at the door looking outside at a beautiful snowstorm coming in, standing in a diaper. You would never open up the door and let the child wander out, although all it wants to do is experience snow for the first time. You know the risk, but the child doesn't. This is exactly the same energy that the Fool is facing. It's excited to start its journey, but it doesn't and is not aware of all the things that can cause him danger. He is about to learn so much more. Mistake number 2, the mastering the law of attraction. After all, the magician is all about manifestation. So approaching your life all up in ego with the things that you think you need instead of the things that are actually in alignment with you will get you into a lot of trouble. So the lesson here is that true manifestation must align with purpose, not your ego. The mistake number 3 that the Fool makes is not trusting his own or your own intuition. Ignoring your intuition and not working with your own higher self. To trust the inner voice, right? Wisdom often lies beyond any logic. And this is a good time to remind you that that also doesn't mean going out to a reader to get the information that you think your life plan or your soul needs. You have all the answers within you, and in fact, a good reader will always guide you back to your own higher self. The 4th mistake the Fool makes is not being grateful. He needs to learn how to nurture what he loves. So taking abundance for granted, right? The lesson here is to nurture what you create. Be respectful, have gratitude and care. This will sustain your growth and the growth of the people around you. At this point in the Fool's journey, too, it's also important to note that he's asked to kind of slow down. He's going so fast in trying to obtain and create all the things that he wants and he feels he needs in his life. So the Empress tells him to, hey, nurture this, take time, and slow down. The Fool moves on to the Emperor, and this is where he makes his 5th mistake. And he's learning here in observation the misuse of power. He wants to learn the qualities of a good leader. After all, he's still a child at this point, so he's seeking authority and power to understand it. So the lesson here is that true leadership arises from structure and stability, not someone necessarily trying to control you. He's trying desperately to be empowered, to be inspired, and to be motivated. And he's looking to stay clear of anyone who is trying to control him, the authoritarians, the dictators, the bad bosses, and so on. The fool just keeps making mistakes. Mistake number 6 is to be true to your own path. Not to just blindly follow tradition or what others are doing. So it's about respecting tradition, but forging your own path. Be true to your own path, because wisdom, after all, evolves. Mistake number 7, the one we've all made, learning the importance of relationships. Choosing fleeting pleasures over meaningful connections. So the lesson here is to align our choices with the values and seek authentic relationships. The ones that matter, the ones that are there for the long haul, to cherish them, to respect them, knowing that what we put out is hopefully what we will get back. We get what we give. The fool is moving now in the chariot. This is mistake number 8, and this is to keep our emotions in check when seeking or searching for the things that we want. The mistake here is pursuing goals without balance, and the lesson he learned is that the willpower and our will must be controlled and must be harmonized with our emotions and our purpose first. The best metaphor I have to offer in the chariot is the beautiful example of swimming against rip current. If we go head on, most likely we're going to drown and we will tire quickly. But if we come alongside it, that's the energy we're talking about here. It's coming with instead of at the things that we need or we think we want in our life. My favorite card, the Strength card, mistake number 9. The true definition of strength is what the fool learns here. And it's confusing strength with force. The lesson here is that true strength is gentle and is rooted in compassion and patience. The fool here is learning his inner strength. Imagine for a moment that the fool got into a physical altercation. At this point in his journey, he would learn the strength of walking away versus physically fighting. The best word I can offer you in this lesson is forbearance. The fool has just approached his hermit stage, and this is a time for quiet reflection. But for the right reason. He learns here that isolating out of fear is absolutely the wrong energy. The lesson is that solitude is for reflection, for learning, for wisdom, not to escape life overall. It's important here, he learns, to share the light that you discover. And this does mean with others. When the fool experiences the Wheel of Fortune, he realizes he's made his 11th mistake, and that change is actually good, and shift happens. This is the lesson of stop resisting. Life is cyclical. To embrace all the ups and the downs as part of your own spiritual growth and evolution. The fool jumps into justice. We've all been there. Mistake 12, stop the blame game. Life isn't always fair. This is the mistake of avoiding accountability. And the lesson here is that fairness begins with your own self-honesty. And it's time to accept the consequences of your actions. It's also time to stop your belly aching. Life is too short, and sometimes what you think is important, truth is, it is not. The fool gets all hung up when he experiences his 13th mistake, and at this point he's clinging to old thinking, those limited beliefs, those patterns that no longer serve you. The expression is, if the door is closed, head for the window. The lesson here is surrender. Surrendering brings clarity. See your life from a completely new angle and a new vantage point, which is exactly what he's doing when he's hanging upside down. He's also taking a long-deserved break. When we're feeling suspended in life, it's truly time to remain there until clarity sets in. The most dreaded card in tarot, Death, the 14th mistake the fool makes. And this is all about fear of change, not resisting change like the Wheel of Fortune. This is fearing any kind or type of transformation. And the lesson here is that endings are beautiful new beginnings in disguise. And we're asked in this card to embrace change for one reason only: to grow, to expand, and to raise our consciousness. The Fool moves into his 15th mistake, which is the energy of the Temperance. And Temperance almost sounds like it is temper, temper. This is working with the law of polarity and those opposites. And it's reminding us to be not in the extremes of all of it. Right, wrong, black, white, up, down, right? It's to find the middle ground. So the balance and the lesson here is balance is key, and also blending opposites for harmony. The Fool continues his journey in mistake number 17 when he gets involved with the devil or devilish behavior. This is about dependency and also addictions. It's time to let go of those things that are truly hurting us, scumbling to temptation and materialism. The lesson here is that real freedom for yourself comes from breaking the chains of the illusion and the dependency. We all know being attached or dependent on things that are absolutely tearing us down and breaking us is not the right energy to be. So when he experiences the devil, he learns the lesson and he breaks free. The Fool moves into his 18th mistake, which was the Tower's experience. And this is all about building on false foundations. The mistake he made here was when he watched the tower implode and fall down in front of him, he realized that he was building on false foundations, thinking that it would always be there and he would always have his job. So the lesson here is that sometimes in our life, it takes destruction to clear the way for our authentic rebuilding. This is about embracing upheaval. Even when you know, when you're in the thick of it, it's the hardest thing to do. At this point in the Fool's journey, when he experiences the star, he's right at mistake number 19, which is he feels hopeless. The star teaches him that that is not true. The lesson here is that even in your darkest times, you need to trust the light from within, that renewal is always possible, and hope is just the beginning. When the Fool experiences mistake number 20, he is terrified. This is the moon. And remember, astrology shows up here in tarot. The sun representing all the things we can see. Well, guess what? The moon is those things we can't see, those insecurities, those hidden gems, the things that we are most likely afraid of. So the mistake he makes here is being deceived by those illusions. The lesson he learns is to face those fears head on, and he understands that the truth will always emerge, especially when he's connected to his intuition. The Fool steps into the sun in mistake 21, and this is all about the lesson of appreciating joy. The mistake he makes here is letting his success breed arrogance. He's a little too cocky at this point. The lesson here is that joy is the brightest when shared, that it's not about him, it's about the people that he can touch. So the lesson here is humility. Humility sustains happiness. It's now time for the Fool to make mistake number 22, redemption. Judgment is all about those things that have happened in our life, those tragedies, those awakenings, those pivotal moments that taught us the most about our life, but it's also the calling of us to do something about it. So the mistake he makes is ignoring the call to awaken. He learns the lesson, though, that redemption requires self-reflection, and it's time for him to rise to his higher purpose. We've all experienced these things and the challenges coming out of them. having it be the gift that we have to offer, and letting go of the trauma. Here's a few great examples of redemption. Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the Amber Alerts, Megan's Law, and the Me Too movement. The fool, he's made it. His last mistake is assuming that the journey is actually over. The truth is, when we finish with the world, it's not over. It's absolutely just the beginning, because we keep evolving. We keep experiencing lives over and over and over again for our own consciousness, for our own lessons, and for us to evolve. So the lesson here is completion is the start of a new cycle, and it's time for the fool and you to celebrate your progress. But do me a favor, prepare for a new beginning. You get to create it. You're eternal, my friend, and you will live on, and your lessons are all yours at a higher level of consciousness. This is Jeannie Lynch. Thank you so much for listening. I know this was really in depth. I hope you enjoyed it. I will absolutely see you next video. Namaste.